Rev up your engines!
Beat Eater 100 says, Scotty, what pickup truck is good to buy in today's market? The future pickup truck is best to buy. Because the prices got to come down. They're starting to come down now, especially if you're talking used. For a while, the used prices were way up in the air, right? Now they're starting to come down. I would wait and buy a truck in the future because I think the prices will come down dramatically soon. As a recession hits here, interest rates go up, the prices of used things are going to go down. And even the new ones, they're not selling them. The prices are going to start to come down. You know, and you say, what's a good one to buy? Well, the Toyota Tacomas, if you like that size, are the best in the world. There's no arguing that. If you want a big giant truck, the Tundras are good, but I don't like their new V6, so you couldn't buy a new one. They only come in V6s. In that case, I'd probably get a Ford F-150 V8, normally aspirated, not turbo and all that crap, right? That would be a good just buy. Brand new, they're still outrageously priced. I would wait. You'll find the used truck prices will drop a lot faster than the new one, because the new ones, it costs them a lot of money to build them. You got no out. They're going to have to charge money because it costs a lot of money to build them. That's one of the reasons that Carvana, the gumball car truck salespeople with the machines up in the air, like gumball machines, you can buy your car there. The stock is plummeting. The company's going down a toilet because they paid a ton of money for all these used vehicles, and now the prices are coming down, and they would lose money selling them. So the prices will come down. There's no arguing it. Especially used before new. Liquid Mice 9. Scotty got an 06 Toyota Matrix, 295,000 miles. The weather's cold. It wants to die while it idles until it's warmed up. I put new coil packs and spark plugs, but it still happens. You're not getting the right amount of fuel. When an engine is cold, it needs extra fuel to run. Once it's warmed up, it goes back to a much leaner condition, right? And you say it runs fine once you warm it up. When it's cold, it doesn't. It's not getting enough extra fuel when it's cold. From my experience with those, with that kind of mileage on it, it's normally the fuel injector's not spraying enough fuel. Well, get some good fuel cleaner. I like my friend Bernie's cleaner. He's in Albuquerque. You can find the stuff at Amazon, different places you can buy it. You just pour the gas cleaner in the gas tank and it cleans as you drive. If that opens them up, and I've done millions of Toyotas like that, and then they went back to normal. Now, if that doesn't fix it, then either you need new fuel injectors or perhaps your switch that allows your car to give extra fuel. It's a temperature switch for the fuel injection system. That could be bad, not sending extra fuel. You could just try that. Could be that switch isn't telling the computer, we need more gas, and it's just a simple sensor you unplug and screw back in, and then it'll tell the computer the right temperature, and it'll start up. It could be that with that kind of mileage, but try cleaning the injectors first. Well, GM just raised the price on both of their electric models. You know, they got a regular one and a fancier one. I can't say that either of them is really fancy, but they keep talking about how they're going to make things affordable. Now they're raising the prices of them already, and that's the list price. That isn't what you're paying. Most people are paying over list. I find it hilarious because 6 months ago, they lowered the prices of them. They're up, they're down, they're sideways, right? And of course, here's a comment from one of the GM spokesmen. They raise the price, but then they say Chevrolet remains committed in the long-standing role to provide true value. We're raising the price, but it's true value. It's true value. I mean, you could make an absolutely hilarious comedic movie just taking the quotes of these guys, show their actions, and then show their quotes. The Ford CEO, who the other day said, well, it took a long time to get this bad quality in Ford. We're hoping it'll start to get a little bit better 2023. It's like, we're hoping it's going to get better, you know? I mean, they get all these recalls, all these problems, and then they say, well, it took a long time for us to create this mess, so it's going to take a long time to clean it up, but we're trying to start now. I just love the quotes from these people. They're too much. The list price is $28,900. So in that range, it is a cheaper car. But then again, it is built by GM, notorious for having all kinds of problems. And their previous electric cars had all kinds of problems. I had to recall them all for their batteries before because they all were bad. They don't have a very good track record with these electric cars. And yes, they're selling them cheaper, but I have a feeling that they're making them a heck of a lot cheaper too. So we'll see how it pans out as time goes on. But first they lower the price. Then they raise the price. I mean, it's like waves in the ocean. They're up, they're down, they're up, they're down. Who knows what they're going to do next? And after all, EVs are not accepted by the vast majority of people. They just aren't. And they keep raising prices on stuff. Hey, it says something. It says they're kind of desperate, really. Even Elon, he's got a real problem now. They say Elon's got a problem with demand for his electric cars. In other words, nobody's buying the stupid things. They're making too many and the people aren't buying them. Of course, you knew it was going to be a time when it would catch up because people that want electric cars are the early people who don't mind being guinea pigs for corporations, right? You're the corporate guinea pig. You can try it out, see if they have problems. You'll have to deal with the problems. They won't. You will, right? But a lot of those people have already got the cars. And a lot of them, actually, in California, 20% of them said, we'll never get another electric car. A lot of them aren't going to get electric cars after. So the demand is rapidly dropping while they're actually building more cars. Be interested to see what happens 2023, 2024. All the politicians are saying, we're going to start electrifying. Let's see what actually happens when the public has to shell their money out for unproven technology. Well, you know, I'm always having a laugh about flying cars, right? Well, they claim soon there's going to be an actual flying motorcycle instead. Maybe we'll have flying motorcycles before we have flying cars. After all, you only have one person on a motorcycle, right? It doesn't have to carry as much. It's called the Jetpack Aviation Speeder. And unlike a lot of the other planned flying cars, flying motorcycles, right? This isn't an electric job. This baby has jet engines on it. 8 of them, 2 of them in each corner. And they say it can cruise about 60 miles an hour for 30 minutes. Of course, it can't have much range, let's face it. Jet engines. What do? They use a lot of fuel, right? How much fuel can you put on this motorcycle that you're sitting on top? Now, the speeder itself only weighs about 300 pounds, and they said it can carry 600 pounds. And you might wonder, how can it do that? Well, jet engines put out an awful lot of power. That's why they use them on jets. Push a big old airplane full of people a long distance. But then again, they've got gigantic gas tanks. This thing won't. But an interesting side one is, this might actually be useful. The same company is also working on one for the military that's going to be a drone type thing where there isn't anybody flying. It's unmanned. And they say that'll be able to fly up 400 miles an hour, 100 feet off the ground, so nobody can see it and shoot it down with radar. Maybe it'll have practical use for the military, but for regular people, as one guy said, they're working on a regular one that maybe goes 250 miles an hour. But, I mean, it isn't going to go very far. If it goes 60 miles an hour for half an hour, if it goes 250, it's only going to be a few minutes before it runs out of fuel. One guy even quipped, he said, it'll go up to 15,000 feet, but by the time you get there, you run out of fuel, and you need a parachute to get back down. But as for most of us, per usual, it prices us all out of the market of the flying motorcycle. They're doing pre-orders now, and they start at $381,000. So, there's not going to be a society of people driving around and flying motorcycles if they start at $381,000. But then again, for the military, they got so much money they don't care. Maybe it'll be a popular military thing to fly around. 400 miles an hour, 100 feet off the ground, right? It would make sense. They could use it as a spy or whatever. But for people actually buying them and driving around, considering that, 60 miles an hour for 30 minutes, you're not going to be commuting very far, right? And $381,000, hey, let's face it, it buys an awful lot of gasoline for your car. Well, old Elon said he's going to turn Twitter around, right? Well, now Twitter is being sued for not paying their rent in their office building in San Francisco. Since Elon Musk took over Twitter, they haven't paid the rent on the building. I guess he figures, hey, we'll cut costs. We won't pay our rent, Supposedly, he was the richest man in the world. He isn't now, and his corporations, obviously, the value's plummeting down a ton, too. So I guess his idea is, well, I won't pay rent. That's how I'll get even with it, right? Now this is $136,000 in unpaid rent, relatively expensive rent. And from what people say, it looks like old Elon said to everybody, hold back on paying everything. Rent this. We'll see if we can renegotiate a better rent deal, blah, blah, blah. Well, let me tell you something. I met a guy who works for a battery company who makes parts for the Panasonic batteries, which are then sold to Tesla, right? And they had a contract. And as soon as they started making them, the Tesla guys come into this other company's place and says, we want 25% off everything. And they're like, we signed a contract with you for years. You got to do your contract. And they're trying to chisel them down. This company, the man I was talking to, he said, then the Japanese from Panasonic, they came in and said, oh, we're so apologetic. You have a legal contract with these people. We're so sorry for what Tesla is trying to do to you, right? It just shows the attitude. They think they're big. They can push everybody around, do whatever they want. Well, guess what? They can't force me to buy one of their electric cars, right? I'm not going to buy one. I think it's stupid, right? From the top down, they seem to be extremely corrupt company. I mean, I've met people in Tennessee. I said, what do you do? He says, well, one guy says, I used to be an engineer at the Fremont factory in California for Tesla, but when our contract was up, they fired us, and they hired an engineering company that would do it for less money. You keep cutting things down, not paying your rent. Is that a way to run a business? I don't think it is. And anybody who thinks that it's going to have the largest company in the world, they're living in fantasy land. They're grasping at straws now, not even paying their rent in San Francisco. It's just unbelievable, but hey, you never know what's going to come out of that guy. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.